Paying with Facebook, which impact for NFC ecosystem? It's an amazing one because for the moment, paying with Facebook, even this does not really exist, even if there are some trial announced. I will show you briefly a short video. And also because Facebook have never announced any intention to do anything with NFC. So probably it sounds very curious for you to do that kind of association. However, we've got today 5 top experts that have accepted to debate on that prospective idea. They will introduce themselves briefly after this introduction. Well, but basically, we've got here Mark Ong, who is Research VP at the Gartner Group. We've got Peter Vesco, who made a presentation this morning at the full session. He's head of Payment NFC Division at Deutsche Telekom. There is Sirpa Nordlund, Executive Director at the Mobey Forum. And there is Tom Conlon, Vice President Marketing and Business Development at VeriFone EMEA. And the last one, Nicolai Schaettgen, Head of Payment Competence Center worldwide for Arthur D. Lytle. So the brief for starting is really, let's suppose Facebook announces a mobile wallet secured by individuals' Facebook Connect. You can store values, you can use it both for remote or proximity payments, prepaid, gift, whatever you can dream. Dream or reality, this could happen. I will show you the video and then we'll start a debate. This is a video found on YouTube. Well, I don't know really if this is science fiction or reality. I don't know if Facebook works with or against PayPal. That's not the point. The point is really to consider if Facebook is able to provide value for payments using Facebook Connect or something like that and add some security so that there is enough trust for paying, what could happen? And we will run the debate in 3 steps. First steps is I will ask each of those experts to share their vision on that assumption. Secondly, we have prepared a couple of questions to debate together as a panel. Then we would like to interact with the room and get your comments on this because there's only science fiction at that time. So it's really interesting to have your vision, how we right thinking, or do you have another point to add in that debate? I think that could be interesting. In terms of timing, we'll try to end up the panel discussion around 6:15 and get 15 minutes for the interaction of the room. So think about your comments, if any. So we'll start with the Gartner Group. Mark, if you can stay a little bit on that topic, please.
Sure. Well, thanks, François. Yeah, so my name is Mark Hong. I'm the Research VP I'm of wireless at Gartner. One of my research areas is NFC. So I'm not sure how François planned this, but he's got perfect timing. Because for those of you who saw the news from yesterday, actually Facebook went public with this yesterday. It's called an autofill with Facebook. And for those of you who saw the news, they have a couple of initial launch partners in terms of merchants. They are working with PayPal, although PayPal is not ready yet, so they're working with Braintree and Stripe. But it's happening. And so, the way I look at it is, this is really Facebook's answer to the Amazon one-click, right? So, whereas, Amazon obviously has the one-click payment system working with everything they sell, Facebook looks to do this with every other merchant in the world on the web. And at least in the short term, it definitely focuses on, mobile e-commerce instead of in-person payment like NFC payment. So why would they do that? So I think when one of the presenters earlier cited, our mobile payment forecast. So this year we're estimating a total revenues from mobile payments at about $235 billion US dollars, and by 2017 that number goes up to around $720 billion. But if you look at that $720 billion in 2017, the vast majority, or about 45%, is is from mobile commerce. It's from payment on a mobile website or in-app purchase. NFC payment, at least according to our own forecast in 2017, is less than 5%. So that's 310 billion versus around 30 billion. Yeah. So it's at least an order of magnitude difference. And just given and I think another speaker previously at one of my sessions talked about the need for infrastructure, all that. It just makes a lot more sense for Facebook to focus on the mobile commerce aspect of it instead of in-person payments. I'm sure when NFC becomes ready, or God forbid Bluetooth beaconing becomes the technology, they'll leverage one of those to do in-person payments. But for now, I think they're really focused on mobile commerce.
Thank you, Mark. The next one to state will be Pierre, who will explain the MNO's vision on that topic.
Well, as I've mentioned this morning, we are facing a huge change in the ecosystem for the next future. So each initiative, even if Facebook is changing the environment by educating the consumers not to pay with cash, could be a driver for changing this ecosystem. So we believe that companies like Facebook, who have a huge consumer base, could contribute but can't do it standalone, because finally we are talking about a two-sided market model. We need the merchants, we need for proximity payments access to the physical stores. Obviously, it's a good basis to start out of the internet, but we learned that companies like Google, like PayPal, didn't manage yet to have really access to the physical stores. So I believe if Facebook is investing in the ecosystem for mobile commerce, mobile payment, this could be a huge contribution to speed up this change of the ecosystem.
All right. So, Sirpa, maybe 1 or 2 words about the Mobey Forum before you start, and then you explain your vision.
Okay, thank you, François. So, Mobey Forum comes from 2 words. It's mob like mobile and money, EY as money. So we are an umbrella organization for banks and financial institutions. And that gives me actually a very good reason to say that if Facebook really, really wants to go in this area and start, let's say, make the e-commerce and m-commerce as well bloom, they have the perfect position for that. And by doing that, also the autofill payment system, what they just launched, like Mark said yesterday, they could also bring up, and this is now all fiction, but this is what I would do if I was at Facebook, they would bring up apps for each merchant. So there would be like, if I go to Tesco, there would be a Tesco app, which would combine those two things. Whatever I see at Tesco that I want to buy, I will buy. I also see what my friends have bought, in case my friends would like to share that with me via Facebook. I would also see remotely what my friends have bought from Tesco web store or internet store. I don't know if they have such, but a lot of companies nowadays have a web store. So I would see all those things which make me want to have that too, and I can do it immediately via my Facebook account. And this would mean for banks and MNOs, whether Facebook does it with NFC or not, and especially if they would do it with NFC, they would reduce the roles of banks and the roles of MNOs in bit pipes. They will definitely not be using your SIM card to put the secure element in. They will definitely not be using our member banks' issued cards. They will certainly have a smarter way of doing it, and they can go directly to the merchants. And this is now tapping, or by doing this, they are tapping the sweet spots of why Google Wallet and ISIS Wallet have failed. And we all know reasons for that. Those have failed, at least by now, because they don't have the merchant support. They don't have the pull from the merchants. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense to hear so many people here today have said that NFC doesn't take off because consumers are the ones who decide. It's not true. I mean, we all know it's not true. Merchants are the ones who decide. If merchants really bring that up together with Facebook, they will just do it. And then consumers, of course, will love it because that will bring benefits for the users and that will bring benefits for the consumers. But it's really the estranging banks and MNOs from this value chain. That would be my vision.
Very straightforward, Sirpa. Thank you. So then, Tom, you're from VeriFone, so you can really, it's a good transition to explain the acquisition part and the vision of the merchant.
Sure. So my name is Tom Conlon. As François said, I'm the Vice President for Marketing in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. VeriFone worldwide has about 20 million points of sale in operation today. In addition to that, we have a number of them, not a great percentage, but a percentage of them are connected to our network. So we have a lot of feel for exactly what merchants are doing in the field through either our direct channels or acquirers. And I think that part of that, from VeriFone's perspective, of course, we're very interested in NFC because we see that as the next stage technology that will be able to supply great products to all of our existing customers. But as part of doing some research on NFC about 4 years ago, where I engaged some consulting companies to find out, because a company like VeriFone or we suppliers of point of sale make a risk when we make an investment, and it's quite a major investment in upgrading our entire park to be able to accept both contactless NFC. So the question I had was, should we do this now, or what's the timing on it? And I think to pick up on Sirpa's point there about merchants, one of the people I talked to said, well, the question, you got the question backwards. So what are the three things that merchants are interested? They're interested in footfall, they're getting people through the store. They're interested in making those people pay more money or buy more things when they come into the store. And of course, like every other business, they're interested in controlling their costs. So if the benefit of Facebook, or if the benefit of scheme-based NFC payments enable them to do that, then they will do it. But at the same time, from our perspective at VeriFone, we believe we have to add more value to whatever the merchant is in the business of selling. Now that could be couponing, it could be campaigns, it could be targeted campaigns. And our perspective, VeriFone's perspective, is that if Groupon comes into the space, we welcome all players to come into the space, because our merchants and our banking and acquiring customers are also interested in maintaining the flow of transactions that aren't going to go away. Because the infrastructure that we have today, there's two parts to it. There's the physical infrastructure and there's the commercial infrastructure. Merchants understand that when a scheme card is used or a local national debit or credit card is used, they will receive money in their account. It's a long step. I was going to go into a little bit of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats for Groupon. But one of the weaknesses for Groupon is, in opposition to the other payment schemes, is Groupon has to build an infrastructure to move a lot of money around. So of the 17 billion that will be in the mobile world, that's a lot of money to move around. There's a lot of risk management. And the strength that they have is they have a lot of cash, they have a lot of customers, they have a lot of really energetic people to get in there. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a haul for them. But I think with the customer strength that they have and the investment money they have, they could make a difference. NFC is going to be interesting because it kind of bridges the two worlds between the virtual world and the physical POS world. And we're seeing that more and more. When we see RFPs from major merchants across our regions, they want a solution where they can take transactions both in the internet space and in the physical space and combine and look at the statistics and see the differential, because merchants are confronting a massive shift. We've seen the online stores become offline. They're facing a massive shift in the way that they address their customers. And we think that NFC can play a part of it, as well as entities such as Facebook. So that's our perspective on it, from a merchant and a supplier of infrastructure.
Thank you. Very interesting. The last one to express the vision will be Nicolai from Arthur D. Little.
Yes, thank you. Hello, my name is Nicolai Schaettgen from Arthur D. Little. We're a classical strategy consultancy with a stronger focus on combining strategy, technology, and innovation. And as such, I'm heading globally the Competence Center on M-Payment. Happy to be here. I would like to answer the question in 3 points. I think first, why are we actually talking about Facebook? Why does Facebook suddenly have a play in in mobile payment. Then what about the retail? What's the retail's interest? And then do I believe? Why are we talking about it? I think the US is the perfect example of why are we talking about it. We just need to look at what happened to ISIS. Numbers range between 700 million to even much more investment of ISIS into mobile payment. And in contrary to what has been said in the morning, I strongly disagree with calling ISIS even close to a market success. It's very much a market failure. I believe it's multiple reasons. It's both from a business model point as well as also from a technology point of view. It's incredibly complex. It's incredibly a lot of players. Everybody wants to have a share and nobody really understands. I think reason for that is manifold. I think it's as well like consultants. It's our fault. I think I've done business cases back in 2008, 2009. Which I would now, put my hands in front of my face because I feel ashamed of the numbers I put in there. But I think that's still very much out there, and I think also everybody tries. I think that's you can finger point and go through all the players. Everybody takes a fair share of that one that we're not further with the NFC at the moment. So that really leaves a window of opportunity of new players to get in. And I think the US, coming back to the retailers, are the perfect example. ISIS is not moving. Then we saw the retailers, of course, gearing up, combining in the merchant service in the MCX. We see PayPal moving into the physical point of view, point of sale. We have Starbucks extremely successful going into the physical point. So we see a lot of traction really in there, and really a lot of interest, a lot of new spaces being offered. Europe is probably still a little bit of a different market, but the US is really much more advanced, and that's really the fault of not being able to enable NFC. And in the current business model setup, that is really doomed to fail, I believe. And that really leaves the opportunity for players like Facebook to come in. I think there's incredible interest from retailers, as also stated before. I think there's also a lot of power moving to the retailer. I think the retailers do have a much stronger power. You see with the MCX kind of turning the game a little bit, having stronger power itself on the payment value chain. And that leaves a lot of room. But when you look at the retail, the physical retailer, these guys are heavily confused. They are as well overwhelmed with the mega trend of convergence. I strongly believe now when you just look at the online commerce and how this developed, the first phase was purely price transparency. That was the USP of commerce. Then we moved into a point of kind of phase where we said it's about convenience. Amazon one-click shop, and you have your recommendations. I believe in order to enable the next wave of online, it's about convergence. It's about really the convergence of the physical and of the online world, and I think there's manifold opportunities. I believe the retailers have not yet grasped and understood the opportunities, so I think there's manifold changes ahead of us. Just the pure ocean. It's so blue, and there's so many opportunities, and I think we will see so much innovation. Do I believe Facebook is going to take it? I'm very doubtful. But not to the reason that we as the consumers don't trust, which is one point, yes. But I always argue against it. 5 years ago, my mother is now 66. She never had a laptop, never used a computer. When she was 61, she said, you're all on the laptop and you're doing something. I want to have a laptop. So my mother got a laptop. Took her a while. Now we're regularly Skyping and she's heavily online. Can go anywhere with her laptop. She uses the smartphone. She actually is on Facebook. I'm not. So she's really in the social media. She did her first online sale, a pair of jeans from eBay. So kind of she's really getting into this. And I was saying kind of the trust issue, is it really so strong on the consumer? I believe if you have a strong value proposition, even that might be tackled. So I don't see really the big challenge for Facebook on the personal side. If they have a good value proposition, we'll probably use it. At least some part of your population, they're going to use it. I think it's much more the retailer the challenge, because that's why we see the power shifting to the retailer. They have all this data. They just don't want to. They don't want to share. That's Google wanted, and I give you a solution which is free and you can have, but let me use your data. Retail said no, I don't want to. So I think that's the real inhibitor for Facebook moving into the physical point of sales. Is much more coming from the retailers because they don't want to share. They know that's incredible value in the data, and they don't want to give it to Facebook.
What enthusiasm.
Sorry. I think it's a great topic.
Okay, so really thank you very much for being so frank on that topic. And now it's time to really go through into the the pure NFC opportunity. So we all know the challenges with NFC. We've seen that ecosystem taking years to be built, the security issues, the role of the big schemes, banks, telcos, and that kind of thing. And on the other hand, we all know that the NFC experience is just great. It's so simple, so convenient. I think, Tom, you said the NFC is a good way to make the bridge between virtual and physical. So let's be positive on that, and let's suppose that Facebook would really positively consider NFC. If you would be Facebook, but there would be 2 or 3 questions in this one, right? So would you go through NFC for checking, liking, sharing, transacting, and the proximity life? Or maybe going for something different. Obviously, what kind of competitive advantage you would expect by leveraging the NFC ecosystem as being Facebook, and how do you believe you can partner? Who would you choose to really and immediately penetrate that ecosystem? So we are delivering a strategic consultancy to Facebook for free, actually, but it's only a 10-minute consultancy. Who wants to get those? Well, you will have all your chance to speak. Let's. Who wants to be first? Wow, this is a tough one.
Okay, I take it. Let me start from who would I partner with. I think if I were Facebook, I would be very much looking towards the acquiring side. I think that's said. I think you need to get close to the merchants, and I think you need to get to the point of sales. So that's why I think it's very attractive to look into big acquirers and try to have a collaboration there. I believe NFC can be very much part of it and should be part of it. I strongly believe it's a great technology. It's seamless, it's simple, and it's very user friendly. And I do share the point of view that it can be really the link between the physical and the digital world, and that the retailers can leverage the technology. And in order to come with the physical retailer, one of the biggest problem of the physical retailer today is you go into a shop and you might be the best customer of this retailer. You go into the shop, but nobody knows that you are basically one of the gold star customers per year. And then you go to the shop and to the cashier, you in line like anybody else. You'd be treated like anybody else. And at the end of the sale, you put in your loyalty card if you have it with you. And then the retailer knows, hey, actually you were a really good customer. We should have treated you differently. So that's a massive challenge for retailers. So I believe here NFC, but also different concepts. There's a lot of technologies out there. They can really make a difference. So I think I would clearly say NFC should be part of the solution for Facebook, but it definitely should not be the only solution. Anything related to payment needs to have scale. Therefore, just focusing on one technology is way too narrow. So that's why I really would advise Facebook 2 things. Really, I think in partnerships, it's the aggregators and technology neutral. So as many technologies as possible to really get the scale.
Yeah, I just want to add. I think that having seen a number of different kinds of payment instruments during my career in the payments industry, I think it's very important for someone like Facebook to target a specific merchant segment. So one of the failures of these systems is that we try to reach too far at once. We've done a number of, in Europe, we've done this with electronic purses, where we had cards with purses, and they've gotten traction. But I think for Facebook to succeed, they have to find something that's cool. It might be a nightclub application. It might be something that kicks a wave in, that attracts their specific consumer segment and match it up to a specific merchant segment is the first part. And then when they're done with that, they should buy lots of infrastructure from VeriFone to make sure that the implementation is right too as well. But I mean, facetious on the second part. But the first part, I think it's easier to scale outward from a targeted segment than it is to try to broad brush across. And from that perspective, launch plans and education, because one of the difficulties with these kinds of systems is that the merchants actually don't know how they work. We see a publicity announcement about contactless in the UK. If you remember, there's a commercial in the UK about floating through London and tapping your way through. And some of the people I spoke to who aren't in the industry said, oh, that was about paying with a card, right? I said, no, there's contact. They said, oh, contactless was involved with that. So the merchants don't really understand it. And that's the other aspect. There's a lot of training and education on those target consumers and the target merchant segments. But the merchant segment is really important. If you get the right one, if you can really grab one merchant segment, I think they could succeed pretty rapidly.
Yes, may I disagree strongly? I strongly disagree. I think that's a typical old school way of thinking things. That should select a merchant segment. Why should Facebook bother about merchant segment? Their merchant segment is the one who brings them most money, right? Whatever that is. If that's an erotic adult store, why not? If that's Tesco, why not? Whoever attracts the most, wants to attract the most people who buy those things, who click those ads and who then buy it. And Facebook's mission is to enable a smooth buy-in. So that's the reason for the autofill payment system, which was launched yesterday. And then, if I answer the second part of the question, who should they partner with? They should partner with those companies who can prove that they can do the identification properly, so that they can recognize the customer. We have somebody sitting here who is expert in fingerprint sensors. Or then it could be probably NFC or TEE or something like that, but how to make sure that they know who is paying and make it as easy as possible. I would love to buy via Facebook if I could recognize myself via my finger. So that's the way to go forward. Who to partner with? Partner with those merchants who bring the most add-on value for Facebook, and you can read that as money. And then partner with those technology partners who can make it as easy for the customer as possible. And that way get more ad money for Facebook.
Yeah, well, I kind of side with the merchant side of things. So, but I mean, in terms of the particular merchants, I think both Nicolai and Tom have mentioned about kind of the bridge between the virtual and the physical, and we all know how successful Amazon has been with the one-click. So, I think if Facebook were to venture into the physical world, I think the natural collaboration or partnership will be with merchants that have both an online and also a brick-and-mortar presence, right? So all the department stores in the U.S. would be like Best Buy and Staples and Macy's and all the other ones, where they can provide some value that Amazon will never be able to provide. And if they were going to start with that, I think they can start to show value, and Facebook, of course, can show value in terms of their targeted ads. So, if I were Facebook, that's what I would do.
So, from my perspective, this is not a winner-takes-it-all market. So, what we're talking about is like if Facebook enters this market, everything will be Facebook now. So I don't believe in that. Look at the history of payments. There are different schemes, different payment methods, and the market is huge enough that I'm still happy if Facebook enters this market, because what I said in the very beginning, they will drive the change of the ecosystem. It will drive the understanding of new business models for merchants as well as for consumers. And coming from that point of view, I would say a perfect partnership between Facebook would be to partner with the MNOs, because the MNOs obviously have access to the smartphone. It's not the SIM. I'm talking about the smartphone, and the smartphone is still in the center of our life. The MNOs have access to the physical stores, especially Deutsche Telekom. We are running a very focused merchant strategy because we believe that an important control point is the merchant, and the merchant wants to have plenty of choices. They want to accept maybe in the future at the point of the PayPal, they want to have closed-loop products, and they still want to accept MasterCard and Visa. They don't want to send away any consumer. And if they have on top a wallet where Facebook is included and the internet store can be served by Facebook or MasterCard or PayPal, and the physical store offers plenty of choices, this would be the right way forward. So from my perspective, if I were in the Facebook management, I would buy Ingenico and VeriFone. It's not too much. They have enough cash. And I would partner with Deutsche Telekom, and so they would drive the business in Europe. And we have in 4 years not an NFC Congress anymore, but talking about new ecosystems.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So we don't have anybody from Facebook in this room, but the phone number of Peter will be provided very soon. and yours also, Tom. Well, so a couple of comments through this. We talk about payments, and the panel said, well, what payment are we talking about? So we're not necessarily talking about the universal payment at the EMV scheme vision, but probably more likely something like prepaid or something like couponings, and something probably made step by step. For the NFC, obviously, it would be a dream to see Facebook betting only on NFC. There's not any chance it could happen, only because there is too few NFC smartphones at that time and too few retailers accepting NFC. However, they could have a great interest in doing that for the simple user experience and going step by step, and consider that in the next 2-3 years, probably. Another point that is interested is when we talk about paying with Facebook, but it could be also buying through Facebook. Probably some of you, they have seen the Foursquare application. The Foursquare has an alliance actually with American Express, and you can do the checking on the shop, and with of course the approval of the merchant. And then the merchant can propose you some special deals, and you can get that deal immediately by paying with Amex. And so it's not paying with Facebook, but it's really an ecosystem where the social networks is seriously leveraged in the CRM. So that was the couple of comments. The last one, I like the point of Sirpa, the one you made in the first introduction, saying, well, if Facebook would do something for paying, probably it would do it very personal for brands. I mean, you mentioned Tesco, and it will just open API for Tesco to really closely link its environment in this and do that with all the big merchants that want to. I think obviously that's a very good point. All right, so we're progressing. We still have 5 minutes for continuing that debate. So which one will I choose? Well, I had a question between cloud or NFC. Obviously, cloud and online is more the tendency. But give me 1 minute to review this. Yeah, maybe a point related to the security and the change of the paradigm. One big strength of EMV scheme, and especially the chip and pin system implemented in Europe, is very, very well secured and high trust conveyed by that system. We probably could guess that Facebook coming in that market may really modify the big paradigm of the payments because of the scoring. You can see in the world some companies, especially in bank and insurance, proposing services that are based on Facebook reputation, the number of people that trust you, and it's demonstrated that if you have, let's say, over 100 contacts, it's very difficult to be someone different, not you. I mean, and some companies that are specialized on this and doing the scoring, or the scoring is extremely important when it's a matter of payment. So do you think paying with Facebook can really jeopardize all the existing payment ecosystem and being based on something different?
So I guess the way forward is that Facebook will use the existing infrastructure. So we know that they're talking with the schemes, that they're willing to issue with partners or for themselves own cards. It's more smart in the very beginning to use this existing infrastructure, first of all. Obviously, after having a huge consumer base and after bought VeriFone, it's easy to create an own scheme. So if they're really looking for, let me say, disruptive changes, there is the potential. Nevertheless, and I repeat what I said before, it's not a winner-takes-it-all market. It will be a potential player. They can create an own scheme, they can use existing infrastructure, but they can't do it standalone because the merchant will never accept only one payment method.
Exactly, I think I fully agree. So they will use the existing infrastructure, and they will partner with those who can provide them the best, simply the best deal. So whether it's a PayPal, whether it's somebody new who is like a PayPal, maybe it's one of the schemes who are doing this as well. So the schemes are going towards virtual payment as well, and providing very compelling propositions, exactly similar to PayPal. So it's not a threat for the existing system, but it will be a threat for those merchants who are only in physical world. So it will be a big threat for those merchants who don't enable the purchase via, whether it's one click or two click, it doesn't really matter, but who don't have a web shop available. So those will simply die out.
I just wanted to add now that Facebook has acquired VeriFone, at least in this debate, I think I couldn't agree more with the opinion about having to couple to the schemes, and it's really based upon the fundamentals of the business of the schemes today, which is about issuing. So the fundamental moneymaker is issuing. So I think. And the reason why they're so good at it is because they do risk management so well. I don't mean to, for those of you who understand how all of this stuff works, they do risk management really, really well. So the question there is Facebook going to lean in and use those risk management systems, build their own risk management systems? And the other part of that is the complexity about the relationship with merchants that, again, the schemes have quite a bit of know your customer. There's a lot of regulation about know your customer, how you can transfer money from one merchant to another. Now, I'm sure Facebook, now that they've gotten VeriFone and Ingenico and everyone, and maybe some risk management companies, that they're going to be able to do that. But the timeline to do that is in the order of 8, 12, 16 quarters. So it's not the kind of thing that you're going to flood out through the market. But I do agree that going on the existing rails, on the existing infrastructure, especially the financial relationship infrastructure, the risk management infrastructure, is really the way for them to go. And to be honest, that doesn't matter whether you do it on cloud or whether you do it in NFC. The technology is not as important. The merchant knows that when you come in and pay with Facebook, the merchant will receive their funds exactly the same way as if it's MasterCard or Visa, or maybe it is MasterCard or Visa or American Express who pays it. So that's I agree with that, and I try not to differentiate between NFC and cloud. We support them both, and we would like to see end users actually using both of those technologies.
Just to add one word, it's a threat for banks finally, because most of the banks are consumer-driven banks, and they are not fast enough moving, and if they lose the basis for their issuing products. So if Facebook is an issuer for themselves or with one partner, the banks are in trouble.
Yes, if the banks let's say, if the Facebook issues its own card, then it's a big threat for banks. But same thing with other issuers in this world. So banks are no more the only issuer of payment cards. There are so many others, and coming for this market increasingly more. So yes.
Well, one comment on a little bit of a different angle. I agree they would use the existing, yes, also due to the fact that they would not be interested in the payment revenues itself. Obviously, they have other means to monetize, and they would be stupid to change that and go for the payment revenues. It's a hard, very tedious work where you need incredible scale, so I absolutely agree. Still, if they would, they wouldn't, but if they would go for the payment revenues, I believe there's a window of opportunity. I believe the payment schemes, they are still in the world of the old walled garden approach. Let's look at the telcos back a couple of years. They have been living in a walled garden for quite some time. They had the networks, nobody could. With the change of technology and the everywhere connectivity, basically the walled garden is more and more collapsing, and new players are actually getting the sweet pie out of it. And I believe this could happen very well with the schemes as well. When you look at just the financial statements of a MasterCard or a Visa, a lot of people will just cry by the pure margins these guys make. They have an incredible scale. They have a very nice walled garden. But with the connectivity and everywhere, you're just everywhere online, there's actually no more real need for the payment schemes. Because basically with the ACH integration, what PayPal is doing, you can have instant credit checks right there. Or with the security, as you said, there's different means to validate and authenticate. I clearly see that these guys are obviously, there's a huge chunk of money involved, trying to do everything to preserve the ecosystem the way it is. But I believe there are a lot of windows of opportunities just driven by ourselves being everywhere, whenever, online and connected. That leaves a lot of room for really actually getting into this one. I believe from a pure security point of view, you don't need to have the payment schemes. Let's look at the US. Everybody's talking, yes, they need to go towards the EMV. It's magnet stripe. It's old-fashioned. It's not secure. Come on, who cares? It works perfectly. It's not from a security point of view that it's driven. So I think security is overstated in that point of view, and obviously it's to preserve an old ecosystem to maintain and for no role changes in there. But if Facebook would want to go into payment revenues, I believe they could, and there's a window of opportunity.
I just want to add one thing, Nicholas, that you said. Within the European Union, it was only in July that the Commission has produced two new payment. They've updated the Payment Service Directive, which defines something called a payment institution, which has a drastically fewer controls on what's a payment institution. You can actually issue cards. You can deal with electronic money, and the EU is very advanced on it. And the other one is within 24 months, there will be interchange capping. So maximum will be 2% for debit and 3% for credit for cross-border transactions today, and in 24 months across the entire European Union and probably across the whole EES. So this is a perfect opportunity for parties such as Facebook to take advantage of the fact that the issuing part of the business is going, for some parties, is really going to go downhill over the next 24 to 48 months.
Okay, so that's really excellent. You raised a couple of very interesting points. I want to add two small ones before giving the word to the room. One is, what about the customer? I would say I'm not sure people as individual would love to put a significant amount of money in a bank account that is Facebook branded, but just a pure personal vision. And I think the second issue probably is the privacy data and the fact that if you use Facebook for scoring, it raises a very specific problem in terms of liberty that you're not facing with security provided by the MV scheme at the moment. So well, that's two comments to terminate that discussion. But now, as promised, we're only 5 minutes late. Sirpa has to leave at 6:30. Last time, maybe just right now? No? You want to stay 10 minutes?
I think I better go.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sirpa. So Sirpa will not be handling any comments, but we will debrief you. No, we've got 10 minutes for comments from the room. Does anybody? And this is a microphone for anybody who wants to make comments.
Nobody?
Yeah, apparently.
Nobody want to speak?
Dan, no? My friend Dan, how will that comment? Dan is writing a wonderful newsletter at NFC Time, and we all read this from this Greek journal. That's the address.
No, I really have no question. I think you've covered it well.
Okay, so if there is not any comments, and as there is a cocktail, maybe some of you would like to put some kind of conclusion. I think there's no conclusion because there's still a perspective. We have taken a lot of interesting points, I guess. I hope you love that debate. I think that's probably a lot of stuff to carry back with you and think about what could happen and just be prepared and take that positively to satisfy your customer and make a lot of money with this. Thank you very much.